Ramiro. I do the morning show here at Jammin' 94.5 in Boston. Then on the weekend, I have a syndicated countdown show called The Weekend Top 30. And then I host a show on TV called Community Auditions. It's like a New England-based talent show, kind of like American Idol, except it sucks. It's not a funny show. It's not a good show at all. But I do it just for like TV experience. Radio was number one. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. It was actually in high school. I'll still remember the day. I was in high school. It was like a study period. I was just messing around with a dude of mine, with a friend of mine. This dude I know. His name was Quentin. I still remember his name. And he whipped out. He was like a mix DJ, and he's like, oh, I want to go to this school to learn how to DJ. And he pulled out like a brochure from the school. It's called Northeast Broadcasting School. And I looked at it, and I was kind of like, damn, I want to do this, to be on the radio. Because I started thinking about all the stuff that I was into. And one of the things I used to always love that show. Well, it's on now on ESPN. It's called NFL Primetime, but it's not the way it used to be. It used to be that was my favorite show on television, and Chris Berman used to host it. And I used to watch that and be like, man, this is something I want to do. I didn't exactly go, this is it, it's radio. I just knew it was something that I wanted to do, that I could show my personality to people. I just didn't exactly figure out how I wanted to do it. Then when he showed me that brochure, I started going, maybe I should go here and figure out a way to be on the radio or something like that, or maybe TV. I didn't know yet. So anyway, I went to that school, and it was at the time. Now it's AI New England, it's a college, but at the time it was like an 8-month program, and the first 4 months you did radio and TV, and it was just that. It was just like doing radio, doing TV. It was like a trade school almost. And then after the first 4, you picked which one you want to specialize in, and you stick with that one for the rest of the way. So I did both. I liked them both, but I really wanted to do radio. I applied for an internship here. I saw the internship little flyer posted on the bulletin board, and I grabbed it, stuck it in my pocket so nobody else would see it. And I called the radio station, so much to the point that I used to call and the receptionist would pick up, and I'd be like, hello, and he'd be like, hey, what's up, Ramiro? Hold on a second, let me see if I can get, Pete, that was the internship guy. Let me get him on the phone for you. And one day, I just called enough that the guy just said, you know what, just come in tonight. When I started, the night guy had 3 interns. There was one dude who was here for a couple of years, and he was on air at a radio station in Providence doing weekends and stuff. Another dude was just here because he wanted to, tell girls that he was on the radio and have sex with all of them. So he didn't even care. He just wanted to, use radio to get in the door with girls. And then I showed up 6 months later. I was doing everything. They would ask me to do production. I remember, actually, I saw this story with Pup telling you how he did production for us. I never knew that story until I saw the video. But I kind of did the same thing, because I remember the guy was like, the night guy, his name was Ralphie. He said, somebody go do my production. And the other 2 guys kind of thought they were above it. Like the one who was on the radio station in Providence was like, oh, I'm above this. I'm already on the air somewhere. And the other guy was like, I don't care about learning about this crap. So I was like, I'll do it. He goes, you know how to do it? And I said, yeah. So I went into the studio, and I was like, I think this is play, I think this is record, rewind. And I just went in there, and I kept on looking up to make sure that he wasn't watching me make a confused face. Like, whenever he looked at me, I was like, but then I was like, but I just figured it out. And, 6 months later, I ended up getting on the air, and the other 2 guys kind of, the guys who were here for a couple years and were still doing the same thing they were doing. So I think that when they saw that I had initiative and I was helping out all the time, and I would hang after my internship to just go in the studio for an hour just to make demo tapes myself. That was just on my own. I said, can I go in there and do stuff? And they saw that I had initiative, so that helped me out. I encourage everybody, by the way, to go to college and all that stuff, and to have a backup plan. And when my kids grow up, I'm gonna tell them like a million times. I tell them now, I'm like, have backup plans. But my mentality was, this is it, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to go full force at it, to the point where I'm not going to have a backup plan, so I'm going to have to force myself to succeed in it. I don't know, that mentality worked for me. I don't recommend that for everybody, but that mentality worked for me. So every vision I had at the time, back when I started in radio, you were supposed to start off doing an overnight weekend shift in some small ass, mama can't find you Arizona city, and from there maybe work your way up to full time at that station, and then from there move on to a bigger city, and maybe 10 years down the road be in a big city like Boston. I didn't know that's the way it was supposed to be, so in my head I said, okay, I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna get in at jamming. I'm gonna bust my ass. I'm gonna get on it. I'm gonna get on air there, work my way up, and eventually, do mornings. And I think kind of because I was naive to how it was supposed to be, that helped me. So the vision I had kind of ended up happening, even though I guess it wasn't supposed to happen. So that was it was never like oh wow, this is something I think I could do for the rest of my life. It was always just like, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do. I want to do it. So, and I have nothing else going on. You have to have passion, 24/7, 100%. It's hard to describe, and it's like if you're talking to someone about it, and it's just like, it's weird. Sometimes their eyes light up, and you know that they get it because they have it. And sometimes you're explaining it to someone, and if they give you the confused look, they don't have it. They might get it, who knows, but they don't have it yet. It's just this weird passion where, I don't know, I mean, you think of someone who has their normal everyday 9-to-5 job that they're not into. They have a thing called overtime. They have to get told to do extra work, because they really don't care about their job. For this, it's like, it's what I want to do. So when you find something that you're passionate about, be it radio, whatever it is, you find yourself doing all that extra work, trying to get better for yourself on your own. Not because anybody's telling you, but because you're so into it that you're willing to bust your ass on your own because you just want to improve on it on your own. I mean, it's different now with the internet stuff, but when I started out, there was a service that would send you cassette tapes of air checks of different radio stations, of different shifts, of different formats, all that stuff. I started out, man, all the money I had, I would order those tapes from around the country, and I would just listen to other people and listen to stuff they did. And it wasn't just like hip hop or top. I mean, I'm talking about every format. I'm talking about every shift. So I would be listening to like a morning drive country station in Texas. Just like, I would just listen to everything I could absorb. And then I would listen to myself, and I would try like to incorporate little things, just see everything people were doing and try and kind of create my own style. So just doing stuff like that, and I would always, have people listen to my stuff and write stuff down. And I'm my biggest, just my biggest critic. So it's, when you're your biggest critic, it's just easy for someone else to have someone else critique you and not take anything personal. The reason I went to broadcasting school was I wanted to go to a radio station right away, but I was researching and I found out they were like that they wouldn't let me in unless I was doing an internship. And since I wanted to do it so bad, and I can go to college. This is just my experience, but I didn't want to go to college. In my head, like I was talking about earlier, I just had this vision. So in my head, I was like, I'm not gonna go to college because that means I'll graduate when I'm 22 and then I'm to get started in it. So I found that broadcasting school to get the internship right away so I can get my foot in the door and start learning. I was supposed to do, originally my internship was supposed to be, I think, 80 hours. I did that in 2 weeks. I was here so much because I learned, in a week here, I learned more than I ever did at broadcasting school. I was applying everything. So whatever it is you have a passion in, still go to school to learn it, but somehow get your foot in the door doing it, because just doing it, being around it, asking the right questions, you're learning. You're learning all the time if you're really passionate about it. Just being in it is automatically positive because you're picking stuff up, good and bad. You're learning good things. You're seeing people make mistakes and hopefully going, okay, it's good to learn from mistakes, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be your mistake. You know what I mean? It could be seeing somebody else make a mistake and going, all right, that's something I know I'm not gonna do. So just somehow figure out a way to get into it. Radio right now is very difficult to get into, but people who have a passion for it are still figuring out ways to get in. And as far as any other industry you want to do, just anything, whether it be cleaning at the building inside where they're doing something that you're interested in. Whether it be if you're interested in photography, then be the person who buys the camera guy who brings him his batteries and all that stuff, just to be around. When you're thinking about doing it, are you thinking right away about how much money you're gonna make from it? If the first thing you're thinking is in terms of finances, like right off the jump, then you're probably not really passionate for it. If you're just thinking about like learning from it and stuff and knowing that money and stuff will come down the line, then bam, you know that's what you're meant to do.
I'm the epitome, I'm punning Malcolm X chemically. Yo, I mean, lyrically, remember me with the greatest of all. Malcolm Shakur, Martin and Paul. You get my grind life lyrics, you know, right? Cause I'ma stick around like residue and dope pipes. I ride beats, chicks ride me and dirt bikes. And it's a tough run for hip-hop king, my game's tight.
We want peace, we want justice, we want respect, we want to carry ourselves with dignity.
We got pride, we got dignity, we got respect, we got history.
We want peace, we want justice, we want respect, we want to carry ourselves with dignity.
We got pride, we got dignity, we got respect, we got history. These are words from a powerful man who threw in the towel from foul actions that distracted my jams. For example, selling powder by grams wasn't my swagger, though I elevated to building with queens instead of bagging hoes. Black and dope was what my people were murdered for.